This is the reason the 1969 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray stands as the finest sports car America ever produced. While modern supercars offer computer-controlled speed, this vintage vehicle delivered raw performance, wrapped in one of the most gorgeous bodies ever sculpted. It represented a brief moment when engineers and designers worked without heavy safety regulations or fuel restrictions, creating a vehicle that ran fast, loud, and strikingly sleek. Buying a brand new muscle car back then seemed simple, but choosing the right options could turn a standard cruiser into a street-legal race car. Chevrolet tried to hide their most powerful power plants from average buyers, which only made those rare models celebrated among collectors today. We need to examine how a rushed design from the previous year transformed into this automotive masterpiece. To understand why the 1969 model shines so brightly, we must look at the trouble that came just 1 year earlier. In 1968, General Motors released the third generation of the Corvette, but they rushed the production lines to meet high demand. Owners immediately complained about terrible rattles, cheap interior plastics, and body panels that did not fit together properly. It felt like an unfinished prototype rather than a premium sports car, which threatened to ruin the reputation of the entire brand. Because of this failure, Chevrolet engineers spent the next 12 months redesigning almost every major component. They reinforced the frame, improved the assembly quality, and replaced the weak interior pieces with much stronger materials. The result of these efforts emerged as a solid, quiet, and perfectly built machine that lived up to its aggressive looks. This transformation succeeded because of one man named Zora Arkus-Duntov, who is widely remembered as the father of the Corvette. He served as a brilliant engineer and a former racing driver, so he understood exactly what a true sports car needed to handle high speeds. Duntov hated the quality issues of the 1968 car, but he saw the large potential hiding underneath its skin. He worked day and night to improve the suspension, modify the brakes, and make sure the chassis could handle significant amounts of energy. His goal focused on making racing technology available to the general public, even if corporate executives worried about the safety of average drivers on public roads. Duntov pushed his team to build a car that could compete with the best European sports car manufacturers on any track in the world. While Duntov perfected the mechanical parts, a celebrated designer named Bill Mitchell shaped the exterior of the vehicle. Mitchell drew his inspiration from a unique concept vehicle called the Mako Shark II, which looked like an aggressive ocean predator. He gave the car muscular fenders that bulged over the tires, a long hood, and a sharp rear end that looked fast even when parked. This styling made the car look very low to the ground, which captured the imagination of buyers across the country. The 1969 model featured stunning chrome bumpers on both the front and the back, which highlighted the sculpted lines of the body. These chrome details would disappear a few years later due to new safety laws, making this specific year the pinnacle of classic design. Sometimes the smallest changes make the biggest difference when you actually drive a car on a daily basis. In 1969, the engineers shrunk the steering wheel from 16 inches down to 15 inches, which gave the driver much more room for their legs. They also moved the ignition key from the middle of the dashboard over to the steering column for safety and convenience. The door handles received a major upgrade, replacing the cheap push buttons of the previous year with a smooth, flush-mounted flap that you pulled up from underneath. This simple change simplified the exterior look while preserving the vehicle's famous, well-contoured Coke bottle curves. These small, smart adjustments proved that Chevrolet listened to customer feedback and wanted to build the most comfortable cabin possible. Another key change for this year involved the return of a famous nameplate that fans had sorely missed. In 1969, Chevrolet brought back the Stingray name, but they decided to write it as a single word on the front fenders. This differed from the older second-generation cars, which used a two-word spelling for their classic models. Placing this chrome emblem on the side of the car added an extra touch of class that separated it from ordinary vehicles. It showed that the car represented a serious performance vehicle, not just a standard transportation tool for daily commutes. Collectors today look for that specific script because it symbolizes the height of the third-generation design. It was a proud badge of honor that represented strength, style, and American engineering pride. The year 1970 represented the height of the American muscle car era, right before government rules and the transition to unleaded fuel forced manufacturers to detune their engines after 1970. Under the hood of the standard 1969 model sat a brand new 350 cubic inch V8 motor that produced 300 horsepower. This power plant proved reliable, easy to maintain, and offered plenty of speed for the average buyer. But it served only as the starting point for people who wanted real speed, because Chevrolet offered several larger options. You could upgrade to a heavy 427 cubic inch big block option that made the car shake when it idled at a red light. These power plants created a beautiful, deep exhaust note that modern cars simply cannot replicate without artificial speakers. It was a golden age of mechanical power that would never happen again. Among all the options offered that year, the most mysterious was a racing setup called the L88. Chevrolet officially rated this unit at 430 horsepower, but this rating represented a deliberate lie. In reality, when engineers tested the unit, it actually produced closer to 550 horsepower. The company underrated the power on purpose because they did not want ordinary teenagers buying this monster and crashing it. They also wanted to prevent insurance companies from charging exorbitant rates that would prevent people from purchasing Corvettes. To discourage regular buyers, the company carried a high cost for the option, stripped out the radio, and removed the heater. They only wanted professional racing teams to order this specific setup, which made it a secret weapon on the track. If the L88 engine was a secret monster, then the ZL1 occupied the space of a mythical unicorn that almost nobody ever saw. This power plant featured an all-aluminum block, which made it much lighter than the standard iron blocks of the time. This weight reduction improved the balance of the car, allowing it to turn corners like a European race car while maintaining straight-line speed. However, this high-tech aluminum construction proved difficult and expensive to produce back in 1969. The option cost over $4,700, which doubled the price of the entire vehicle. Because of this substantial cost, only 2 people actually ordered the ZL1 directly from the factory. Today, those 2 original cars are worth millions of dollars at public auctions. Having a large motor is pointless if the chassis cannot handle the power. But the 1969 model excelled in this area. Chevrolet equipped the car with independent rear suspension and 4-wheel disc brakes, which represented advanced technology for the late 60s. Most American muscle cars of that era could only go fast in a straight line, but this sports car loved twisty mountain roads. The wider tires and improved suspension geometry allowed drivers to corner with confidence, even when pushing the car to its limits. It felt connected to the road, in a way that modern cars with electronic steering simply cannot replicate. Drivers had to use their muscle and skill to control the vehicle, which made every journey feel like a true adventure. The 1969 model marked the last year before everything changed for the American automotive industry. Shortly after this production run, the government introduced strict emission laws that forced companies to lower engine compression. Insurance costs soared, and the fuel crisis of the early 70s made big V8 engines very impractical for most buyers. Chevrolet had to replace the beautiful chrome bumpers with heavy rubber ones to meet new crash safety standards, which ruined the clean lines of the design. This makes the 1969 model year the pinnacle of the classic era, capturing a moment of freedom and power that disappeared forever. It represents the final year of pure, unfiltered performance before corporate regulations changed car design. Even today, in 2026, the legacy of this classic machine thrives stronger than ever as collectors search the world for surviving examples. Finding an original matching numbers car from this year is the greatest dream for classic car enthusiasts. The styling has aged beautifully, proving that Bill Mitchell created a timeless piece of art that looks fantastic even next to modern supercars. It offers a mechanical purity that vanished entirely in our world of hybrid engines and automatic transmissions. Driving one of these cars offers a physical experience that connects you directly to the golden era of American manufacturing. That is why this striking vehicle remains, and will always remain, the greatest Corvette ever built.